Each year, on December 27th, my family would pack up our bags and head to Big Bend National Park. The place was in West Texas, where we would meet up with some of our closest family friends. The journey from Houston to Big Bend was around 9 hours. We met up with some people along the way that were joining us. We always stopped in San Antonio for some sightseeing and to say hello to family friends. This was my dad taking pictures on the side of the road. I kept a journal, and I'm so happy I did because it's pretty funny and it brings back so many memories. This is my sister and I looking not so excited to be in the car. And my dad's so happy to be going to his favorite place. We've already been to the Alamo. Wow, I can see Mexico. I didn't realize at the time, but I took on the role of recorder. I believe that everyone in this group acted as a recorder in some way. Not so much for writing down memories, but capturing them in the present to remember them in the future. They were all photographers. This is the Pecos River. It was where we would stop, and it was kind of that spot where we would always know we were getting close. I have to thank my dad for all of these photos. Which at the time we weren't so happy that we stopped on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere to take a photo op. As we would get closer to the end of the drive, the more beautiful it became. They're known for their sedimentary rock, which layers over time, the high cliffs that drop out to gorgeous views. The excitement between my sister and I as we got closer and closer to the park was not hidden. We saw our photography friends once in the summer during the Houston Photography Guild and again during this trip. We grew up with them and we all bonded because we could relate when our parents wanted to pull over and take a picture of a leaf on the road. You could tell we were getting close when you started seeing the wildlife. These are the javelinas. They were my favorite. This trip started at around 1995, when my dad and some good friends went on a camping trip together. They were all photographers. They loved the scenery and outdoors and wanted to include their family, other photography friends for future trips. This was the forming stage. Forming stage happens rather smoothly as the members had previously formed friendships in a different group. In the following years, our group grew. At times there were conflict, the storming stage, the second of Tuckman's 5 stages. Opposing ideas and actions regarding itinerary were not out of the ordinary. With so many sights to see and different routes, not everyone would agree on what to do with our limited time. However, the group has always been mature and harmony always prevailed, even if some had to put aside their requests, the norming stage. I love this photo because it shows how close all the kids were and how much we loved being around each other. This is Mike and Casey. Mike was mostly the initiator. He did most of the organizing and planning. He was a regular seen on the trails, whereas my dad was more of the outdoor enthusiast. Both photographers and friends came up with the idea to begin this almost 20-year-long annual trip. They acted as the organizers each year, planning out itineraries and coming up with new ideas. Mike also kind of acted as the opinion giver, offering advice that may not have always been wanted or well received by others. My family and I, we were kind of the followers, with the exception of my dad. We allowed peace and we trusted the leaders of our group. My sister and I sometimes would have our own agenda. We would walk off, make our own adventure. Please ignore the 90s fashion. As a group, we created our own cultural norms. We utilized a group-centered interaction. It was different than just going on a trip with friends because it felt more like family. These are the Penlands. They acted as the energizers of the group. The life of the party, they were always there to have fun. And this is my other This is my dad's brother and his kids, and they came with us 1 year on the trip. We usually went hiking the first couple of days. The weather was always perfect. We had different norms than other groups, that we were on the trail next to us or sleeping at the same campsite. We focused on capturing the perfect photo, building friendships and nonstop laughter, and of course the food and drinks. I liked how the book described the here and now mentality. I believe that was one of the greatest cultural aspects we brought to our group. Each day was different, whether it was a different trail we took, a new person or another group we met, or if we ended up in Mexico, literally. We all lived in the moment and cherished each day. The space we stayed was a tent. Over the years, our camping grew from little old tents to tents that had 2 to 3 rooms in them. We grew from boiling beans in an old pot to having a portable grill. I think the men in the group were having a contest of whose family could get them the coolest camping gear for Christmas. My mother was kind of the compromiser. I remember her taking on this role. She's not one who has passion for outdoors, but did it for her family. She would sneak away at night to stay in one of the camp's lodges where there weren't wild birds running around. Not causing a scene, waited until the night to go before bringing up any tension. Sometimes I went with her. We also had many musicians in our group. We would wind down the night by playing music and listening to each other's conversation. One of the best things we did and most fun memories I have is going to Mexico. We would go to wind down, relax our sore muscles, have fun, listen to music. The way to get there was on a donkey or a horse. The water of the Rio Grande was just shallow enough for us to go across. The food, the tacos in Boquillas, Mexico were amazing. December 30th, 1998. New Year's Eve is tomorrow. We're going to Terralingua. New Year's Eve was when we celebrated the end of our year and beginning of it together. This trip was sacred. We looked forward to it all year long. It was the trip that came to be the end of the year ritual where we would begin the new year with great friends. We identified the new year with this journey, and it held great meaning within our families. In 2010, the year my father passed away, we didn't go on the trip, and we didn't go the following couple years after that either. But my mom took a risk. A couple of years ago, in 2013, she asked a question that made her feel vulnerable. She asked if she could join the next trip and make it a tribute to my father. I did not attend, but it was an amazing trip where they spread my dad's ashes over the Pecos River. Without taking that risk, the group may have avoided the reality that my dad was no longer there and increased tension. The acceptance that he was no longer there was a great achievement for our group, which led to a peaceful ending of these expeditions out to Big Bend. The termination was not planned, but peaceful. I think we never really wanted it to end. I plan on going again one day. Maybe we can all get together again one year, but I will never forget our trips to Big Bend.